Good morning. My name's Anisha, I care about social justice, and I know a lot about credit cards. And I'm here to tell you why those things are more related than you'd think. I spent over 3 years working at NerdWallet as a credit and debit card expert. NerdWallet is a consumer finance startup that helps people make better decisions with their money. And while I was working there, I realized how valuable and how rare good financial advice was. I don't need to tell you that money is important. It empowers you to feel secure. It helps you fight less with your partner, and it helps you do everything from donating to a cause that you care about to paying off your loans. And I often find that it's most impactful for the people who need it most. So if you want to make a difference in people's lives, helping them keep money in their pockets is a pretty darn high leverage way to do it. So that's the social justice piece. Now let's talk about credit cards. I'm part of a generation that looks online for pretty much everything, whether it's finding out where to go to dinner or deciding what shoes to wear. And for the most part, I trust what I read. And what I didn't know until I started working at NerdWallet was how often, at least when it came to personal finance, that trust was misplaced. How often an industry that I didn't even know existed was fueled by a lack of transparency and distorted incentives and taking money away from me and from you and from all other everyday consumers. I'm talking about the personal finance review industry. Those are the people that tell you which credit card to get, which bank account to open, and basically what it means to be the best when it comes to your money. And unfortunately, we are giving these people too much of our trust too blindly. It's costing us hundreds of dollars a year, and that needs to change. So I'd like to introduce you to Sarah. Sarah is writ small, the reason that I got into this industry. She's had her troubles with debt and missed a few payments, but she wants to get back on track. Or she's 25, and she just left her steady job to follow her passion. Or she's in her mid-40s and has 2 kids, and while she is financially stable, she's not quite at the point where she can stop worrying about money. Whatever her situation is, she needs good financial advice, and she's not getting it. And that's costing her hundreds of dollars a year, and you could be in the same boat. Here's case in point. Sarah finds an offer for a credit card that seems tailor-made for her. $500 unsecured line of credit, guaranteed approval, no credit check, reports to the major bureaus. It seems tailor-made for her, and she wants to look like that happy woman in the picture. Now, Sarah's a pretty savvy consumer, and so before she signs up, she Googles the name of the card. Here's what she finds. Scam, 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 scam. By going online, she's figured out that this card isn't a credit card at all. It's basically a $25 a month membership to an online outlet mall, which by all accounts is terribly marked up. So for the privilege of buying something that she doesn't even want, she's out $300 a year, and that's money that she can't afford to lose. So going online and reading user reviews gave her the honesty she needs, but it doesn't really give her guidance on where to go from there. So she does what most of us would do. She asks an online expert. She goes to a credit card review site written by personal finance experts and looks for a credit card for people like her with bad credit. And here's what she finds. If you unwisely brought credit troubles upon yourself, you have the opportunity to change that situation with this instant credit card. This and more earned it our silver award. So it seems to check all the boxes. It's instant approval, so it's great for someone with bad credit. It's going to help her credit score, and most importantly, an expert is saying that this is a good product to use. Well, that's what an expert says. Here's what the numbers say. For a $300 credit limit, she'll have to pay $75 a year in annual fees, and starting year 2, it's really off to the races. Not only will she be paying that $75 fee, she'll have to pay $12 a month in monthly fees, and, unless she opts out, $4.95 in paper statements. Now, for those of you keeping track at home, that's over $275 a year for a $300 credit limit. If that sounds egregious, it should. Something like this shouldn't be given the time of day in any honest review site, let alone such glowing praise. And yet, the people that Sarah's turning to for advice clearly don't have her best interests at heart. And that, in a nutshell, is why I got into the personal finance industry. We go online for so many opinions, so much advice, and personal finance is a crazy, complex industry, and people are going online for experts' advice to help them navigate it. And yet, so often, they're stymied by these distorted incentives and people who so clearly are looking out for their own bottom line, not their customers' wallets. Now, I want to talk a little bit about why this happens, and it starts with the payouts. Financial product review websites make money in the same way that Kayak or Zillow or an Amazon affiliate does. You go onto the website, you read a review or see some recommendations, and if you go on to purchase one of those products, the website receives a commission. And as you might expect, that commission is higher or lower based on the amount that the bank expects to make. So if a bank thinks it's going to make $100 on card A and $200 on card B, it's going to offer a higher commission on card B. So from a bottom line perspective, the website wants you to choose whichever card is going to earn it the highest commission, even if it's not in your best interests. It's worth talking a little bit more about which customers earn those high commissions and why. If you're a profit maximizing bank, and therefore if you're a profit maximizing website, you're going to want to focus on both sides of the credit score spectrum, both the prime consumers, who have the highest credit scores and often the highest incomes, and the subprime ones, who generally have lower credit scores and lower incomes. Now, this is a good time to clarify. I don't want to give the impression that finance is always a zero-sum game. In fact, especially when it comes to those prime consumers, the bank's incentives and the cardholders' incentives are pretty well aligned. That's because when it comes to prime consumers, the bulk of the money is made from what are called interchange fees, and those are paid by merchants rather than the cardholder themselves. So the more a prime customer spends, the more the bank earns, even if that customer pays his bills in full every month. And to incentivize that spending, the bank is going to offer rewards, travel perks, concierge service, things along those lines. So when it comes to those prime consumers, everyone's incentives are well aligned. It's a different story when it comes to low-income consumers. They're actually the most profitable segment of the credit card market, and yet over 90% of that profit is coming out of their own pockets in terms of interest rates and fees. And because they are so profitable, and the reason that they are so profitable, means that there is a direct conflict of interest between a website that wants a high commission and a consumer who just wants to save money. Now, this imbalance persists because of a strong information asymmetry. What that means is the bank has a pretty good idea of your value as a customer. You have no idea. Quick question, who here knows how much they paid their credit card company last year? All right, a couple. Now, who knows if that number would be higher or lower if you had a different credit card? It's pretty hard to tell. And with that lack of transparency, it is so much easier for an unscrupulous website to steer you to a higher commission product, even if it means it's going to cost you more money down the line. Moreover, a website isn't necessarily looking for repeat business. If you're lucky enough to afford a financial advisor, you can generally trust that you're getting good or at least honest advice. That's because the website is That's because the financial advisor is focused on the long term. Sure, she can steer you towards a high fee, high commission product, but then she'll lose your business forever. It's that close contact that's keeping her honest. But if you own a website and all you do is recommend credit cards or debit cards or any sort of siloed financial product, you know it's going to be years before your customer comes back, if they come back at all. And so you don't want to build loyalty. You want to maximize every sale, even if it means burning bridges. Finally, and probably most importantly, good products don't always pay good commissions. I saw this most clearly in the prepaid debit card industry. A couple years ago, the industry was getting a lot of flack from regulators and also from journalists at the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, and other main publications because they were high on fees and honestly very low on transparency. It was pretty depressing. You would see a fee to buy the card, a fee to use the card, a fee to take money out of the ATM, a fee to call customer service, and if you got sick of those fees, a fee to close the account. And worst of all, you would see online experts pushing these cards on the people who could least afford to be shelling out $20, $25 a month. And it was partially for this reason that I developed a tool to help consumers honestly understand and compare different prepaid card products. This tool was unprecedented at the time, and here's why. Over and over, I found that the most consumer-friendly products were the ones that didn't spend money on marketing or on commissions. They spent the money in lowering fees. And unless you're willing to be paid in hipster cred, there's not much money to be made in recommending a product that no one's ever heard of, especially if it's not paying you a high commission. So you're not really going to give these products front and center billing if you're a profit-maximizing website, unless you're willing to put consumers first. And this is why I'm excited about this industry. It is incredibly high impact. Saving people money changes their lives in a fundamental and very strong way. And if you're working to innovate a marketplace, it is, in my opinion, one of the highest leverage ways to make a difference. Because not only are you giving good products the attention they deserve, you're forcing an entire industry to reevaluate how they treat their customers. To build a business along these lines. It takes commitment. You need to go into work on Monday and say to yourself, I'm going to make less money today than I otherwise could. Then you need to go into work on Tuesday and do the same thing. And on Wednesday and Thursday, and every day of every week of every month of every year that you stay in business, and you need to be proud of that fact. Because, at least in the short term, it's very unlikely that you will be rewarded for it. Every single bit of feedback that you're getting is saying, sell out just a little bit, tweak the words here and there, change an order. It's going to help your bottom line. It's going to help you avoid a fight with someone who's very powerful and wants you to say good things about their products. Every single data point is telling you to change what you're doing, except, of course, your customers. And after a really long day, when I'm tired and burnt out and stressed, I'll read the comments in an article that tells people that maybe a product isn't right for them. And 201, they will say something like this: thank you for your honesty. You saved me from making a big mistake. And that is the kind of validating and empowering experience that lets you know that you're in the right industry. Now, we run into trouble when a business profits when its customers do poorly. We need to have businesses that are focused on the double bottom line, social as well as financial returns. And that's why we need creativity and entrepreneurship to figure out how to fix this industry, to build a business that profits with, not just from, its consumers. And we're lucky enough to have people who are dedicated enough to say, at least in the short term, yes, I will sacrifice profits for the good of society. And many of them are right here in Providence. But even better, we have people who are smart enough to figure out how to turn a profit while still doing right by society. And to those people, I say, don't just look at building better financial products. Look at building a better marketplace for those products. It may not be as sexy or as thrilling initially, but this is really what's going to make a difference to people. Giving a voice to the people who are doing right by customers and giving those products the spotlight they deserve, that's really what's going to move the needle in helping consumers make better decisions. And this isn't just applicable to finance. Wherever you have high stakes and low transparency, whether it's navigating the healthcare system, choosing a credit card, or starting a small business, you either have an opportunity for exploitation or you have an opportunity to change a marketplace for the better. Now, we've talked a little bit about the supply side for honest advice, but let's talk about the demand. And that means you, the informed consumer, standing up for your rights. Identifying and rewarding the businesses that put you first is a virtuous cycle. If you reward those businesses, they're going to have more incentive to foster and entrench those values. And that'll not only help you, it'll help society at large. So here's how to identify those businesses that are putting you first. First, I hate to say it, you are going to have to do a little bit of homework. Before you start looking at your decisions, do a little bit of background research. Look at a government publication or literature on a financial literacy website, or even an informational article on a for-profit website. That's going to give you some background vocabulary and a basic framework for evaluating products. For example, credit cards. The big three factors are interest rates, fees, and rewards. And any good article is going to touch on those three things and let you know how it applies to you, the consumer. So if you know the key points, you'll know if the reviewer has done their homework as well. Second, a hallmark of an honest and transparent website is a clear, logical explanation behind its recommendations. A good website is one that does well when its consumers are informed. And so you're going to want to look for someone who not only has a well thought out reasoning behind their recommendations, but takes the time to make sure you know it as well, to empower you to make good decisions not only for this product, but for any other that you might look at in the future. Third, beware of the idea of the best. I've been in the industry long enough to know more about credit cards than I care to and read more reviews than I care to count. And I can tell you this, I am much more likely to trust a review that says, this is best for you if, and this is less than ideal for you when, than something that says, this is best, end of story, full stop. Very rarely in finance, or honestly in life, is what's best for me the same thing as what's best for you, or you, or you, or anyone else in this audience. And if someone's saying that, they're either lazy or they are telling you what's the best, but it's what's best for them. So look for someone who instead takes a nuanced approach, weighs the pros and cons, and understands that one size doesn't fit all. Finally, vote with your feet. You have the power to choose whose advice you take. And now that you know that this industry exists, you need to work to find those people who are deserving of your trust. If we want to have the sort of sea change that takes this industry and removes those distorted incentives, and if we want to bring it towards consumer friendliness, it's going to start with you, the consumer who wants that friendliness. Honesty is possible when it comes to financial product reviews, and you have the right and the responsibility to get your answers from the people that you can trust. Thank you.